Was Glory Ranch the American dream, or was it a blood diamond?
Hello, my name is Dr. Arnold F. Emsch, and I was part of the greatest generation of the Second World War, which forged my rendition of the American dream. For me, it was the coming together of two cultural enemies into a loving family living in the shadows of the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. This was my version of the American dream, a dream named Glory Ranch.
My name is Dr. Arnold Emsch, and I am a Swiss-born mathematics professor. Hilda, we are going to take the summer and go to Estes Park. I want to take our son Arnold and climb several of the high peaks out there. This Enos Mills wants to create a national park out there, and I want to see what Stanley built and spend time with Arnold. It will also give me a chance to write some articles for the Swiss Alpine Club. Besides, I need to take some time off from my mathematics studies. The dean at the University of Kansas has reviewed my dissertation, and he is quite happy. And the dean at the University of Illinois has offered me the position of teaching mathematics at Urbana.
Liebchen, that is fantastic news, but I am worried. Arnold is going to be out of high school and he may have to go fight in the war. I don't know what he wishes to do with his life. I would love to see him go to university, but his interests are so widespread.
I know, but the good news is that he could get a chance to attend the University of Illinois tuition-free, since I would be a professor there. He tends toward reading classical literature and philosophy, so he needs to think about what he might study. He wants to be an author like Joseph Conrad. He was so fascinated by his Heart of Darkness. He is also fascinated with the antics of Thomas Lawrence, which worries me. Estes Park lies at the base of what will become Rocky Mountain National Park, an area of God's country for mountain climbers, with many 14ers. My work in mathematics took me from Switzerland to America, but I missed the Alps of home. My son Arnold came to this country as a young boy, and we spent my vacations in Estes Park. But Europe was in chaos with 2 world wars. We were so proud of my son Arnold, who served in both wars. During the First War, he drove an ambulance for the American Field Service in France. Later, he served as a consultant in the Navy to Admiral Ross McIntyre, who was the Surgeon General and personal physician to Franklin Roosevelt. The good news is he grew out of his Conrad dreams of writing, but it took him working for the Merchant Marine to do this. Hello, Liebchen.
Liebchen, I just found out. Our son volunteered for the American Field Service in France. He felt it was a duty. But I am so worried he is going to get killed. That war was horrible, with its trenches and all those young boys dying from poison gas.
Liebchen, I didn't want to worry you. I know, and Arnold and I talked about it. He volunteered for the American Field Service medical units, driving an ambulance, so he will not go into the fighting. He also made it clear he didn't want to kill other people. But I think the war is almost over, so he will back soon. He has enrolled in the Merchant Marine Academy and will start as soon as he comes home from the war. Arnold would finish his first year at the Merchant Marine Academy and accepted a summer position as a supercargo for the Bull Run Freight Company, plying routes between Southampton, New York, and the African coast. But fate would grace our family on his first passage. We got telegrams from Arnold, as they only had an old wireless.
It was my dream at the time to follow in the steps of Joseph Conrad as an author writing of my experiences at sea and in the darkest heart of Africa. Our passage to Africa was eventless. We would take on coffee beans and teak logs for New York in a port on the Congo River. But the way home reinforced my belief in God. A major storm smashed our bridge, and we had to use 2 burly crew members to steer from a huge manual wheel in the aft cargo hold. Keeping the boiler lit was a challenge, but dealing with the company and the dock personnel taught me a new skill. Public relations and this would change my life. I returned to the University of Illinois and later finished my doctorate at Harvard. A blessing in disguise was my job offer by Ed Booz, who would create Booz Allen and Hamilton. But the winds of war were brewing, and I was assigned as a consultant to Admiral McIntyre, who was the Surgeon General and personal physician to President Roosevelt.
Today, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
As many know, I am Vice Admiral Ross McIntyre. I served as the Surgeon General of the Navy, the personal physician to President Franklin Roosevelt, and boss to Commander Arnold F. Emsch during the Second World War. We were quite fortunate to acquire Commander Arnold F. Emsch on loan from his firm, Booz Allen and Hamilton, as a management consultant. Commander Emsch was indispensable in managing the affairs within the Navy Bureau of Medicine. President Roosevelt was pleased with the work we did during the war. Commander Emsch would return to his original position in civilian life and returned to Chicago. There, he married a lovely German lady and ultimately retired to Estes Park, Colorado.
Let me take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Eleanor Emsch, but my family just calls me Laurie. I grew up in Germany and lived through the horrible years of Hitler and the Third Reich. My oldest brother served on U-boats, and my younger brother was killed in the Ukraine. But I was lucky. I left for England and later America. Milwaukee was a fantastic place to live, but I ultimately moved to Chicago, where I met the true love of my life, Arnold. Arnold and I would shortly leave Chicago for Estes Park, where we married. Arnold sold the small house he had in Estes Park, and we began the building of our new homestead, Glory Ranch. It was a dream he had, and we talked so much about it. But then I told Arnold my news. I was pregnant with my oldest son, and we named him Arnold Dev Emsch. Those years were the best years of my life. And Arnold didn't want to build a house. He wanted a true family homestead and family legacy. Both of us had seen so much ugly reality, and now we wanted life to be happy.
Honey, I have sold the old house where Papa used to stay. and I have bought some land from Arthur Binns. His wife absolutely didn't want to sell this piece of land, but Michael Marden and I kept working the deal. You will see why Arthur's wife didn't want to sell that land. But the views are incredible, and the land is arguably some of the best in the valley. Michael wants to take us up there in his old Willys Jeep, so get ready. His Jeep is no Cadillac, truly a dream for our family.
Noldi, I am so happy and excited. But do you think we can build everything you talk to me about? It sounds overwhelming. Do you think we can also have some animals? My puppy had many animals in Germany, and I missed them. Did you ever see the picture where we kids were being pulled in an old cart with our goat?
Honey, I am now retired, and this is my final chance at building a dream homestead for the family. We can do anything you want, and with our son on the way, we need to think about raising him in a proper environment. I have talked to Henry Daniels, and he agreed to build our home. First, we build the home, and then we work on the garage and barn. And you can enjoy working in the garden since I know you love growing flowers and vegetables. And I love your photo of you kids being pulled by that goat. Excuse my formal appearance, but I have just gotten married to the most wonderful lady at the Justice of the Peace. The construction of Glory Ranch would be a true labor of love. Henry and his crew of 17 men worked over a year to build it. Henry's son-in-law, Al Sagar, has stripped the west coast of all the grade A tongue and groove pine they could find. I didn't want any drywall on the interiors. I designed the house while still living in Chicago and sent Henry my drawings. Henry was one of the most accomplished contractors and woodworkers you could ask for. Michael Marden would send me photos of the progress. And we decided that the facade was too reminiscent of an Oregon man camp. So I elected to place a frontal gable over the front porch, which really added some elegance to the house. The exterior was finished in old-growth California board and batten redwood. We also felt that the cove moldings needed to make a statement, and for the master bedroom, we decided to finish this cove molding in actual gold leaf. But then we saw it, and boy was it bright, too bright. So we had the leaf work toned down with a dark stain to give it a patina of the old world. But I also wanted to include some old world touches. So I commissioned the Metropolitan Museum of Art to fabricate 2 French provincial replica fireplace mantles with marble infill out of walnut. These were copied from original French versions and downsized to fit our fireplaces. The centerpiece of the kitchen was a brass and copper stove hood patterned after something you would see in an old French country kitchen. The entrance to Glory Ranch was marked by stone columns leading down a driveway. We planted trees on both sides to frame this driveway. And in the spring, we were often greeted by the wall of fire, a long hedge of blooming lilacs planted by my wife and her oldest son. The perfume from these lilacs was unforgettable.
Arnold and I settled down, and we worked very hard at building Glory Ranch. My oldest son was a true blessing, and I would go on to have a second son we named Frederick Boybeck Emsch. Once the barn was built, we would have horses. But Noldi figured out that it was a good business to raise a few Arabian horses. We would pack up the family and travel over Trail Ridge Road to buy special hay from the Holdsworth Ranch on the Never Summer Range. Noldi got upset when I brought a dairy cow home, and we raised veal calves and some Hereford cows. Noldi loved the beef we produced. Our lives were a true blessing, and the homestead was everything Noldi and I dreamed it would be. My oldest son, Dev, would graduate from college in engineering and would work for some computer companies in Longmont and Louisville. We were so proud of him when he got that flow meter patent. He grew into such a talented man, an engineer who was also a great cabinet maker and machinist. He even worked on those old steam cars that Stanley made. But my youngest son left as soon as he was 18 and moved away. Dev would stay with the homestead and would be there when Noldi and Waltraud, my sister, died. But my youngest son, Borli, never got along with my oldest son, and this made me sad. I didn't know how to fix this. I didn't understand this. Noldi tried his best to get Borli interested in making documentary films as a way for him to graduate from college. But my own health was failing. Dev, my oldest son, took care of me for over 10 years. My illness kept me bedridden, and we tried to have our lawyer come out to Glory Ranch to get my affairs in order. But our lawyer, Kaufman, refused. He wanted me to come to his office, knowing I couldn't. I passed away in August of 2013. That night, the family legacy my husband and I worked so hard to build became a blood diamond.
After my passing and the passing of my beloved wife, my oldest son spent several years struggling to keep our family legacy intact. But in the end, he wound up in a three-way legal fight. My youngest son would take his revenge, shrouded in a barrister's cloak. Revenge that would destroy our family legacy in Glory Ranch. This was quite a disappointment for me.
I wish to thank everyone who has taken time to be with us. This was our homestead and family legacy. Thanks to Da Vinci and others for this last opportunity to document my family homestead. Like and subscribe to live through the final legal battle of Glory Ranch.